Quinn DeLuca, how are you, my friend?
Very good, Marcus. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see your smiling face again.
Oh, it's been a good few days. It's been a good weekend. You know, the Blues had a good win. Essendon had a good loss. You know, life's good.
Tell you what, there's two things on a Monday that are fantastic, and it's waking up for a Richmond win on a Monday morning and an Essendon loss over the weekend. And nothing makes my Monday better. So it was a good start to the week for me for sure.
And Richmond caused both of those things as well. You know, you won against Essendon and Essendon lost against you. So,
and we caused a lot of controversy in the media. Controversy in the media. So that's always good to stir some people up.
Yeah,
everyone firing.
We'll get into it a bit later, but there was a lot made of that game, wasn't there? You know, with the free kicks and the staging and Tom Lynch in the news again, and then Essendon supporters in the news again for more death threats and sooking and complaining, which is becoming a constant theme with them. So it's been a bit, same old, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But like you said, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think the main focus of the weekend, though, was probably Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
Sir Doug Nicholls Round, actually.
What did I say?
Sir Doug Nicholls.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, Nicholas.
No, Sir Doug Nicholls Round. It was. It's always a great round on the footy calendar. Highlighted with the Dreamtime game, which was great, especially being in Darwin as well. And there was some really good contests too, which was great. And the Indigenous players really got celebrated, especially after the year that has been. With all the racial things that have happened this season, it was really good to celebrate them. And I think a few of them put on a show as well. In particular, the debutant from Essendon, Irving Mosquito, kicking a couple of goals in his debut, which was great, especially in Darwin as well. Which was really good to see. But it was a great round of footy, and and I think Eddie Betts is probably the poster boy for the Indigenous AFL community anyway, and it all started with him on the Friday night, and it was really, really, really good to see. So, but we'll get into more of the individual performances as we get through the games, but that was some of the big moments through there. But I know something you probably are more passionate about than I am is the MRO, and in particular the ones that happened in the Richmond game. So give us your thoughts on them.
Well, they were probably the biggest ones of the week. I mean, Richmond seemed to be in the MRO the last couple of weeks. I mean, Tom Lynch is to thank for that. But look, I think with the MRO, I'll go to the Tom Lynch decision first. I think he got sent straight to the tribunal, and a lot of people was saying, rightfully so, and then a lot of other people were saying, it's a joke. Why was it even? A lot of people wouldn't have even thought what he did was a free kick, let alone worthy of being sent to the tribunal. And I think the reason he got sent straight there was it was in regards to previous offences. I don't think it should be looked at. I think it should be looked on, the individual offence. I reckon the one against the Gold Coast, he probably deserved a week for, got lucky to get away with it. But that shouldn't have influenced the decision, for the strike on Hurley, which was probably a bit blown up a little bit more than it was. So I think in terms of decisions at the MRO, it shouldn't be judged on past decisions. It should be on the most recent offence. But then there was some dangerous tackles on the weekend that I saw got let off as well, and they're trying to stamp those out. I don't know what's happening with the MRO at the moment. They're saying one thing and sending another message altogether when they give their decisions. So. Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on there. But then, with the diving that's been happening on the weekend, they charged 2 Richmond players. I'm not sure if anyone else at the league was fined, but, 2 Tigers players were fined, and they both fought it and they got off. So, I don't know. It just seems too easy to get away with things at the moment. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a lot of inconsistency with it. I mean, like if the Tom Lynch stuff didn't happen the week before against the Gold Coast, would he have really been sent to the tribunal this week? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
It was just based on past stuff. So, it's a bit too inconsistent for mine, and and then The ones that gets me, are, the AFL are trying to stamp out the sling tackles and the rough tackles and, hits to the head. And 2 players over the weekend got off from those charges. So not too sure what the message is there. It's just a bit confusing for mine. But yeah, we'll move on from there. And because I know we can talk about that all day. Where's the grand final going to be? I know they're about to make a decision about it in the next few days, actually. Where would you like it to be seen as a Richmond supporter who's you're a big chance of being in it again? Where would you like to see it played?
From a Richmond point of view, I'd like to see it in Queensland. I know we play both the Gabba and Metricon quite well. But even just from a neutral standpoint, even if just say Richmond doesn't play finals, I'd still like to see it in Queensland. I think they've probably earned it more so. I think the WA government's been a little bit difficult with everything. South Australia, I know they're putting a bid in today. They've been all right, but they haven't, they've only, not that they've got the capability to with really the one main oval there, but they haven't really done a whole lot. I think Queensland's definitely deserved it. What about you?
Yeah, I think Queensland deserve it. Just for they've just been so accommodating for all the Victorian teams. But in terms of, capacity in a stadium and aesthetics of it all, I think Perth deserve it in terms of that. It's a brand new stadium. It can hold 60,000 people. That would look amazing if they want it to look great and spectacular, which I'm sure the AFL want, and they'll probably want as many people as they can in there. I'd see that as the perfect place to do it. But in saying that, I think Queensland, it would be great to have it in Queensland just for the promotion of the game up there as well. Obviously, it's rugby league dominated, so to get, it's already had, a lot of AFL there. If you're going to have the whole final series and then the grand final there, it'd be great for the game up north. So there's 2 really good arguments for it, but I think Queensland deserve it, but then I think Perth should get it just for the size of the stadium.
I think it's all subject to capacity too. If WA is allowed to have a full stadium worth of people, then you'd imagine it would go there. But if they're only allowed to have a limited amount and you can get the same amount in Queensland, well, yeah.
May as well have it in Queensland.
Yeah, exactly. I think it just depends on capacity. So.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, let's get stuck into the games, shall we? Round 13 all started on Friday night between Gold Coast and Carlton at TO Stadium in Darwin. And it was a pretty comprehensive win from the Blues. It was, as a Carlton supporter, this was the most stress-free game I've watched all season. It wasn't a nail-biter. It wasn't close. We dominated them right from the start and should have won by a lot more. We kicked 7 goals, 18 to Gold Coast's 4 goals, 3. So we should have been a lot more, but who knows if that's going to hurt us, in the lead up to finals. We probably needed a bit more percentage, but as a Carlton supporter over the last few years, a win is a win and we'll absolutely take it. But the Blues are back, according to Paddy Cripps. Did you see what he said as he was?
I did see that as he walked in the room. I like that. It was disappointing. The Blues sung the song in the wrong rooms, and no one could see no one could watch him sing the song. But I loved that. I thought it was great, especially from the captain to walk in. And see the passion he's got, and I thought it's really good. Yeah,
that really warmed my heart seeing that. Just shows how much he loves the club and just the appreciation for a good win like that, which was really good. Pretty impressive performance from the Blues. They had players dominating all over the field. In particular, Mark Murphy really wound back the clock in one of his vintage games.
There's been some doubts about him as well recently, so it was good to see him put those to bed.
Oh yeah, he's I could go on all day about Murph. I absolutely love him. He's been one of my favourite players since he started, and I think the criticism on him has been pretty unfair. I'm not going to get into it too much, otherwise I'll get too passionate about it. But it's really good to see. I love it when he puts in a good game like that. It really shows how good of a player he is, and I know his first 16 touches went at 100% efficiency, so that just shows his class. But we'll go to the votes for that game. I gave 1 vote to Patrick Cripps, 2 votes to Jack Martin, and 3 votes to Mark Murphy. Saturday afternoon, we had the Bulldogs and Melbourne at Metricon Stadium, and the Doggies. I mean, the scoreboard, it's pretty comprehensive, but the D's were winning early in the third quarter, and the Dogs just kicked 7 unanswered goals and just absolutely smashed them from there, didn't they?
It does, and it really shows why teams can't afford to have lapses. I mean, Richmond and Carlton are ones this year that have had those, and we've learnt the hard way as well.
Yeah.
But it showed Melbourne had a lapse, and the Dogs took full advantage of that, and probably a bit of a shock loss. I mean, I think I thought that Melbourne would been in good form. I thought they might have come away with that one, but yeah, Dogs are too good, and I think Mitch Wallace goes a little bit under the radar in terms of how good he is as a small forward. He kicks goals most games, and he kicked 4 again on the weekend. And I think he should definitely be in the conversation with, with some of those other blokes like Papley and all that this year, because he's been just as consistent, but he doesn't get noticed as much.
Yeah, he's come out of nowhere this season, hasn't he? He's played his whole career as a midfielder, and he's gone forward, and he's bobbing up with goals. So I think absolutely he should be in the conversation. He doesn't. Yeah, obviously he doesn't get the spotlight on him like Papley does or Charlie Cameron does, but yeah, he should be up there for sure. I know he's been in a lot of people's multis with his juicy price tag on his goals. So he's been great, and I think that win as well should confirm a spot in the 8 for the Dogs. I can't see them missing out.
So.
Yeah. So that was The Bulldogs at their best are very impressive, and we definitely can't write off the Dogs this season. That's for sure. The votes for that game, you have 1 vote to Marcus Bontempelli, 2 votes to Mitch Wallace, and 3 votes to Jack McRae, who is racking up the votes this season. He's really making a charge for Lachie Neale, isn't he, in our voting anyway?
Well, he doesn't want to make Lachie Neale doesn't want to give it to Lachie Neale easily.
No way, absolutely not. He's storming, and I think he'll definitely be. If he doesn't finish second, he'll be very close to taking it out if Lachie Neale drops in form. That's for sure. All right, the other game on the Saturday Arvo was Port Adelaide and Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. This was a pretty good game, this one. Very gallant effort from Hawthorn, who were missing a lot of star power. And they were, pretty unlucky not to win it in the end. They played really well. But, Port just had too much class in the end. Travis Boak having another good season. He's a bit like Jack McRae, just racking up the votes and having a really good season, isn't he?
Well, he's got to be a Brownlow smoky, Travis Boak. He's been playing unbelievable football lately. It helps when your team's playing well, obviously. But, he's had a great season. And like you said with the Hawks, I thought it was good to see from him. We've been writing him off lately, saying that they've been looking very poor, unenergetic almost when they play. But this was a really good game. They stuck it right up to Port Adelaide. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, they were really impressive considering the performances that they put in lately. It was good to see. How about that goal, though, from Zach Butters? Did you see it?
Oh, I did see that.
I mean, it was a reason. It was a goal. Zach Butters kicked the goal, but I think it was all down to Scott Lycett's work, wasn't it, in the ruck?
It was definitely down to Lycett. The way you see it was like that little tap.
It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it, especially in AFL. It's crazy.
Oh, it reminded me of that scene from Happy Gilmore where he goes, just tap it in. Yeah. It's like he just tapped it into his hands nicely.
Such a delicate touch, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. It makes me wonder if it was deliberate or not, or if he just didn't get much to it. You know what I mean? It makes
I don't know, but
it looked deliberate. It did look deliberate.
It did. Butters just hit that contest at an absolute rapid speed. It was really good to see. Really good goal, and that'll get replayed a lot. That'll be up there with one of the goals of the season for sure. But we'll go to the votes for that. 1 vote to Tom Mitchell, 2 votes to Tom Rockcliffe, and 3 votes to Travis Boak. The Saturday night game, the Dreamtime game in Darwin between Essendon and Richmond. I think the scoreboard definitely flattered Essendon. Tigers were very wasteful, which I'm sure you're going to tell us all about now.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this. But I will mention firstly that it was a really special game, obviously being Dreamtime at the G, and both clubs have such rich Indigenous histories with some of the past players and current players that we've got. And seeing Irving Mosquito, as you said before, debut and kick 2 goals, I thought it was, obviously I didn't like him kicking goals against the Tigers, but I thought it was great to see. And the man's smile, I think it was Tim Watson that said it, but his smile is bigger than the Northern Territory.
Yeah.
It's contagious. When you see him all happy, it gets everyone else getting up and about. So great to see that. And, Daniel Rioli going back home to his home ground, kicked a goal. Thought that was nice. Probably should have kicked a couple more, actually. But which leads into, Richmond's issues converting in front of goal. I think Essendon supporters were complaining about the free kicks and, some of the ones that gave them, probably made them lose the game because we only won by 12 points in the end. But I think they neglected to see that Richmond had nearly 40 more inside 50s and about 40 more contested possessions, which that alone wins you games, We just couldn't kick. I think they were just lucky we didn't kick straight. If we had kicked straight, I think Richmond should have won by 50 points plus. We're 30 points up in the last quarter and we let them come back with a couple of goals. But, I think, like you said, the scoreboard flattered the Bombers a little bit there. Richmond should have won by a lot more. And I'm just hoping our conversion issues don't hurt us going forward against some better teams. I think we're lucky it was not to trash talk them, but I think we're lucky it was only Essendon we were playing and, we still managed to win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of an issue, though, with Brisbane as well, converting and inaccurate football. If you want to win the premiership, you've got to be able to kick straight. As you said, if you're playing a top four side, they'll definitely hurt you on the scoreboard for sure. But in saying that, Richmond are way too dominant, I thought. The scoreboard did flatter Essendon. They kicked a few late goals, but the damage was done. Dusty Martin at his best again. He loves playing Essendon, doesn't he?
He does. He's got a very good run against the Bombers. I think he's had like 40, 41, 30. He's crazy numbers against them.
Yeah.
So it was good to do that again.
That's it.
But it was really special for me to see Shea Bolton, an Indigenous boy, win the New Yukon Award for Best on Ground. I thought that was really nice too.
That was really good. And another one.
It was very close to kind of.
Yeah.
Dusty would have to have been second. So.
For sure. Absolutely. And I was going to say, he's had a fantastic season, Shea Bolton, hasn't he?
Yeah, he'll be a superstar. In a few years' time when he gets a bit more developed and a bit more confidence in himself. I think because it's his first year really running through the midfield for the whole season with our injuries that we've got. So it's been great for him. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the votes for that game. We have 1 vote to Zach Merritt, 2 votes to Dustin Martin, and 3 votes to Shea Bolton. The other game on the Saturday night was between Fremantle and Sydney at Optus Stadium, and the Dockers they're just improving every week, aren't they? It was a pretty comprehensive win against Sydney, who only kicked 2 goals for the game, which is terrible. But Freo, they just I know they're playing majority of the games at home lately, but they're playing really well, aren't they? They're really on the improve.
Definitely, they're playing very well. I mean, they probably wish they had this form early in the season, and who knows, we could be talking about them pushing into the 8. The form they've been, especially with this late run of home games that they've had. I'm actually just really impressed by Freo, the way they've come out and played the way they have. I mean, like you said, Swans were very bad. I think was that their lowest score in, I don't know how long, but it had to have been a record.
It was
for them.
Their lowest score since that was South Melbourne. So
there you go. That speaks for itself. I mean, it's easy to look good when you're playing a team that's playing like that. But no, I'm just very impressed with Freo as a whole, and I'm hoping they can win a few more games just to put a bit more credibility on themselves and give them confidence moving into next year. Yeah,
for sure. I think they're well placed for next season. They've blooded a lot of young players, but one in particular, Luke Ryan, down back, has been incredible for them. He's definitely a chance at All-Australian, if not like a lock for that. He's been incredible, and he racks up the footy as well. He got 26 touches on the weekend, as well as I think close to 10 marks as well. He's super for them, and he's been
definitely one of the reasons.
I was
going to say he's definitely one of the reasons ones only kicked 2 goals.
Correct. And the week before, against Carlton, it was a really low scoring game, and he kept Carlton's forwards, scoreless pretty much. So he's a fantastic defender. But the votes for that game gave 1 vote to Jake Lloyd, 2 votes to Andrew Brayshaw, and 3 votes to Luke Ryan. The Sunday games, it all started between Adelaide and Geelong at Adelaide Oval. I know in our preview for this one we thought it'd be a cricket score, but it actually turned out to be a pretty tight game up until the last quarter when Geelong just kicked away a bit. Obviously, their class coming through, but Adelaide showed a bit, didn't they, in the first 3 quarters?
They really did. The pressure they were putting on was Really impressive. I mean, if we didn't knock my headphones off my head, I'd take my hat off to them. They played really well. I mean, you could see in the last quarter, like you said, Geelong ran over the top. They did run out of legs a little bit, Adelaide. But considering what we've seen from them so far this year, to play like they did against Geelong, granted they had the home ground advantage, but hasn't meant much for them this year, really. It was really impressive. And Geelong have been in flying form, as everyone knows. So I was really impressed with the Crows.
Yeah, they looked really well. It was, for a second there, I genuinely thought Adelaide were a massive chance of winning it. They were playing exciting footy, and the young players were showing a fair bit as well. So, but in saying that, Geelong would have been the upset of the season, probably the upset of the last decade if Adelaide were able to get up there. But yeah, Tom Hawkins again. He kicked 3 goals. He's continuing on his strong form, and I think he's a lock for the All-Australian full forward spot. But yeah, Adelaide at home, impressive. And I think if they can get someone that if they're going to get a win this season, it's going to be at home, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't see them winning away from home.
No.
Yeah, just not with their performances I've seen so far.
Yeah. All right, the votes for that game, we gave 1 vote to Mitch Duncan, 2 votes to Matt Crouch, and 3 votes to Cam Guthrie. The other game on the Sunday was between Brisbane and St Kilda at the Gabba. This was dubbed as the match of the round, and it certainly lived up to it. It was a ripping contest. Lions got the job done by 2 points, but St Kilda had their chances to win. They just didn't take them. But in saying that, Brisbane were very inaccurate again. Which is pretty concerning heading into the finals, isn't it?
Well, they've shown that before. I mean, even last year's finals, not to touch on that again, but in last year's finals, they were the same. I mean, against the Tigers, they were very inaccurate. And it makes you think, in big games, are they going to constantly do this? Like, Saints are another good side. And, they did it against Richmond this year. They've done it against St Kilda now. They've done it against a few other teams. They just can't seem to, get a score on the board. I mean, if you're not scoring, you're not playing good footy, really. It doesn't matter how well you defend and all the rest of it. If you're not getting the points on the board, it's not good. So I think it is a concern for them. I think they should focus on their goal kicking at least, or setups down forward, whatever it is they're going to work on to get that score, because they're not going to win. They're not going to go far in the finals if they can't score, especially against some really good sides that are going to be in the top 8 this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is an issue for them, and it's been happening. I think it's probably the 3rd or 4th week in a row where they've been severely inaccurate. So definitely something they need to work on. But they got the win, and that's the main thing. But the Saints were still pretty impressive, and I think they'll definitely play finals this season. Jack Steele was huge again for them. Another big performance. He's another one like Jack McRae and Travis Boak. He's really challenging Lachie Neale on our leaderboard anyway. And another one who's sort of just come out of nowhere. He's been one of the biggest improvers this season, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely. Is still a chance for the Brownlow? I don't know if he's been suspended or not, but if not, is he a chance?
I think so.
Very good footy.
I think so. Again, Lachie Neale is the clear favourite, but in that next group of players, he's absolutely up there for sure. If he just keeps doing what he's doing, he'll definitely win it. I think he's definitely going to win St Kilda's best and fairest this season as well. So
he'd have to win that.
Yeah. So who knows there? But we'll go to the votes. We gave 1 vote to Dane Zorko, 2 votes to Jared Berry, and 3 votes to Jack Steele. The late game on the Sunday was between West Coast and GWS at Optus, and West Coast, that's 8 in a row now. But it was their last game at Optus Stadium. So will be interesting to see how they go after this round, won't it?
Well, they didn't have a great record in Queensland. I think they won their last 2 before they flew back to WA, but they weren't against, anyone super difficult. So probably expected to win those last 2 there. But yeah, they've had 8 in a row, and Giants, we've been writing them off, but they're still not a bad side. And, the Giants did show signs against the Eagles, but West Coast just showed why they're too good and too dominant, especially at Optus Oval, and, came away with, like you said, their 8th win in a row. Yeah.
They were dominant for the majority of the game. GWS came back a little bit in the last quarter, but I think it was just, a bit of junk time footy, and, it sort of sugarcoated how good West Coast were in that game. But yeah, the Giants, they needed to show something anyway. They've been battered a bit lately, so and they're sitting in 11th spot. So they're in serious danger of missing the finals this season. So they needed to show something, and pretty much every game now for GWS is a must-win. But yeah, Eagles are unbelievable at home, and they'll be hoping for the finals to be in Perth, won't they?
Oh, most definitely. They know how good they are on Optus Oval. They know they're not going to lose to very many games there. So if they get the final series there, that'd be a dream for them.
Yeah.
And just on the Giants, I mean, I don't want to make this all about Richmond, but do you think it's a running theme that the year after a team loses to Richmond in the grand final, they don't make finals the next year?
Yeah.
Happened to Adelaide. The Giants are looking like likely to miss out. Richmond just does things to teams.
Just scar them, mentally scar them. Maybe it'd be interesting to see if GWS do an infamous preseason camp.
I hope so. It'll be another good documentary to watch, that's for sure, because I'm waiting for the Adelaide one to come out.
Yeah, I know. It is interesting. I think if GWS don't make finals this season, I think there'll be serious questions asked about them where they are, and whether they need to start again and whatnot. So time will tell. But the votes in that game, we go 1 vote to Andrew Gaff, 2 votes to Nick Nat, and 3 votes to Josh Kelly. Moving on to Monday nights, and it was a game between Collingwood and North Melbourne at the Gabba. Job done for the Pies. It wasn't pretty, but they got the win, and that's all they really needed, wasn't it?
They needed the win. They couldn't afford to lose, not to North Melbourne. But like you said, it was a scrappy game. I did watch the whole thing. I don't know how I pushed myself to watch it all, because it was not a great game to watch. I think having a multi on it helped. Yeah, like you said, Pendlebury stood up when they needed him for sure. And it was his last game for the Pies, probably for the season, you'd imagine. But Sidebottom was instrumental as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that is going to be Sidebottom's last game of the season, as he goes back to Victoria to be there for the birth of his child. So that's another huge loss for Collingwood. But yeah, they just had to do what they needed to do. Their senior players stood up. As I said, Pendlebury was really good. Taylor Adams, the usual suspects for him. Maynard was super again. But yeah, they needed that, because if they lost that, it would have opened up the 7th and 8th spots on the ladder for sure. So big win for the Pies, and much needed.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry to cut you off. The Zoom chat makes it a little bit delayed. It's hard not to know when you finish your sentence or not. But do you reckon, I don't know how closely you've watched Collingwood, but I was just watching him again. Do you reckon Maynard's almost a lock for Collingwood's BNF this year?
I think so.
He's been super consistent every game.
His consistency has been incredible. I think it'd be out of him or Taylor Adams for it. But yeah, I reckon he's a massive chance for it. And as we've had him in our mid-year All-Australian team, and I think he'll be there at the end of the season as well. So been a great season for him. A breakout year, somewhat so. Mm-hmm. All right, votes for that. So we go, 1 vote to Braden Maynard, 2 votes to Taylor Adams, and 3 votes to Scott Pendlebury. And that is round 13, all done. Said great round of footy. Sir Doug Nicholls Round, plenty of great contests there. But we'll move into round 14, and it all starts on Thursday night between Hawthorn and Essendon at Adelaide Oval. Joe Danaher is back for the Bombers. Give me your thoughts.
Oh, well, I mean, everyone knows that we're not the biggest fans of the Bombers, but no, this is big for the Essendon supporters, and I mean, big for the club as well, with the injuries they've had this year, to have Joe Danaher back. And I mean, I know there's talks of him wanting to leave, et cetera, but he's such a big influence on that club, and to have him back will be huge, especially against Hawthorn, who are missing a lot of stars themselves. And Essendon do need to get back on the winners' board. I think they've lost 5 in a row now, is it? They definitely need to get a win on the board, and I think Danaher being back will be a massive lift for the club. And he hasn't played footy, I think, 460-something days, 467 days, I think.
Round 9, 2019 was his last game.
Well, there you go. It's been a long time, so he's definitely due for a game. And like I said, massive for the Bombers. Yeah,
it's going to be huge. I mean, they've still got a slim chance of making the finals, but very unlikely. But they just simply need a win. And they just need a win just to, they've copped a lot during the week. And they copped a lot over the last few weeks, actually, but especially during the week. So they sort of need to show something this week, Essendon. And having Joe Danaher back helps, whether it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact he does have. As you said, he's been out for a long time, but yeah, and then Hawthorn on the other end, it came off a pretty good game against Port Adelaide as well. So they'll be right up for it, and they haven't won for a few weeks either. So it's going to be a really good game. But the big thing that I'm looking forward to is what will Essendon supporters complain about this game?
Well, it just depends on the umpiring decisions, I guess, and what they can point at, what they can point out that lost them the game rather than just their poor performance as a whole. You know, everyone says Richmond supporters are very annoying because of the success we've had recently, but has anyone looked at the Essendon supporters every time they lose a game? It's never their fault.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
They never accept a loss being their fault. It's always the umpires. A player was, cheating. I don't know. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but there's enough out there to definitely grind my gears.
Correct. Exactly right. I feel you. And we could talk all day about that. But if you're a Hawthorn player, just be prepared for some death threats this round. All right. The other game on the Thursday night, the pressure point match of the round between Richmond and West Coast at Metricon Stadium, and Tigers very lucky to get West Coast away from Perth.
Extremely lucky. I mean, once again, Richmond being the favourites of the AFL have been gifted the fixture. Got a good run home, apparently, with all home games, according to other supporters. I mean, all in Queensland. But anyway, very lucky not to have them at Optus Oval. Their form wasn't great in Queensland West Coast, so it'll be interesting to see how they play. However, Richmond's form, although we've been getting some wins on the board, I'm not happy with myself. I don't think it's been that great. I think we're lucky to beat some poorer teams. And once again, the big question will be, can we convert? West Coast have got a very good defence, a tall defence, and their forward line, with Josh Kennedy, Darling, etc. You don't have to talk about how good their forward line is. If we don't convert when we get the chances to, we're going to be playing catch-up footy, and against West Coast, we're not going to be able to come back from that. So the big question is, will Richmond convert when, given the chance?
Absolutely, yeah. As you said it perfectly. If you're inaccurate and wasteful like you've been the last couple of weeks, then this is the game that it's going to bite you on the arse for sure. It's going to be a ripping game, though. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think the winner of this, I think Richmond is sitting fifth now, aren't you? But yeah, this will. You win this, you go into the top four. So it's a massive game. I think the Tigers win just for mine. West Coast away from Optus aren't as good, and I think Richmond should get the job done, which I'm sure you think the same.
Surprisingly, I never thought I'd say this, but I reckon West Coast might have our measure this weekend.
Don't do it.
I want Richmond to win with all my heart. Top four spot looks delicious, as Bruce would say. I don't know. I'm not convinced with Richmond's form at the moment. I don't know if that's just me being picky as a Richmond supporter and not happy with the wins we've been getting, but I don't know. West Coast are in great form, and the way we've been playing, still missing some key experienced players such as Edwards and Prestia, etc. I don't know. I'm going to tip West Coast just. I'm hoping that puts Richmond in favour, and I jinx West Coast on that one. So, West Coast for mine.
Okay, there you go. I think that's the first time I've heard you tip against the Tigers. So
first time this year, that's for sure.
Yeah. So looking forward to that one. It'll be a great game. All right, Friday night we've got Bulldogs and Geelong at Metricon Stadium. Another big game. It's going to be a really, really decent one. Like the Dogs, as we said before, that win last week really confirmed their spot in the 8, and this one will really make sure of it. And then the Cats on the other end, they're vying to lock in the top 4 spot. So it's going to be a great contest. And who's going to stop Tom Hawkins?
I don't think anyone can, really. I don't think it matters who you are at the moment from any club. I think it'll be hard to stop Tom Hawkins. But then that's all up to the Dogs. Have a good midfield too. I think it's up to the Dogs midfield to put pressure on the Cats and not let them get that clean entry that they want to be able to hit Hawkins up easily. So I think if that Dogs can influence the Cats to the midfield and make their delivery to the forward line a bit worse, I think they'll be able to limit Hawkins in that way rather than a direct one-on-one. Because one-on-one, you're not beating him. He's too big.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. I think Geelong win this one. I think it'll be a really tight game. I think Geelong just get the win in the end. and that'll really lock them in for a top 4 spot, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Cats as well. I think it'll be a bit different. I reckon the Dogs will run with them for the 3 quarters, and I have a feeling the last quarter Cats will just run over the top of them and kick away a little bit. But yeah, Cats for me.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Saturday. We've got Port Adelaide and Sydney at Adelaide Oval. It should be an easy win for Port on paper. The Swans were pretty average last week, and I think after the scare that Port got last week from Hawthorn, I think they should be able to bounce back to a certain degree and get a comfortable win here and get a percentage booster and lock in or really solidify their top 2 spot.
100%. Like I said, the scare would have got to them a little bit. This should be a comfortable win for them. An easy 4 points on the board, maybe some percentage to, complement that as a cherry on top. But in saying that, Swans, although have been poor, I've seen them play, fairly competitive against some good sides before. It's like they decide to lift, when good sides play against them. But who knows? There's a lot going on at the Swans at the moment. I mean, there's the news that Buddy Franklin won't play this year. That could be weighing down on some players. I mean, I don't know if it will or not, but it could be a factor. But yeah, Port Adelaide easily for me. Yeah,
me too. They'll win very comfortably. All right, moving on to Freo and GWS at Optus Stadium. Must win for the Giants. They simply just can't afford to lose this one. But it's no easy game as well against Freo, especially at Optus Stadium. And this will really, the Giants drop this one. That pretty much counts them out, doesn't it?
You'd think so. I don't see them. If they lose this, I don't see any way for them to sneak a spot into the finals. And I think it just drowns their confidence as well. Losing to a team like Fremantle definitely doesn't do much for your ego. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not.
I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm tipping Freo. I think Freo will win this up in Optus Stadium. I don't think it'll be easy, but I don't know. I'm liking Freo at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm liking Freo.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm only tipping GWS just because they've got so much more to play for. And it hurts me to say that because of how good Freo have been, and I feel it's unfair to not tip them. But just with what Giants have to play for, I'm just going to tip them just. All right, the other game on the Saturday night is Melbourne and St Kilda in Darwin as well. So both sides looking to bounce back. Melbourne probably more so. They're really battling for a top 8 spot. They're in that pack with a couple other teams to finish 8th. So it's a huge game, and for both sides, but in particular Melbourne, if they really want to play finals this season.
Exactly right. Well, like we said, both coming off a loss. St Kilda had their chances to win last week, so they'll be looking to amend that and not waste their chances when they get them. And same as Melbourne. I mean, they had that lapse and the Dogs kicked 7 goals against them, so they'll be looking to try to play more consistent footy. But I think it'll be a great game, and I think this is almost up there as well for one of the better games of the round. And is it at TO Stadium? I see.
It is. Yeah, it's up in Darwin.
Well, that's fantastic as well. Just see more footy get played up there. I'm loving that at the moment.
Yeah.
One thing I am loving from TO, I don't know if you noticed this, but the fridges have got behind the benches.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
I just think it's something different. I've never seen that before. I didn't even know that existed before the weekend's round. So I think that's good. I think it'll be good to see the TO. I'm going to go St Kilda. I think they're too good.
Yeah.
Although Melbourne have showed some good signs, but I'm going to go St Kilda. I think they're too good.
Yeah, Saints are on as well. All right, moving on to Sunday. Oh, huge game between Carlton and Collingwood at the Gabba. This would be the biggest Carlton-Collingwood game in about 8 years. Carlton, they're in the hunt for the finals. Collingwood in their spot, really. It's an old-fashioned 8-point game, this one. The two biggest rivals in the AFL going at it. And it's going to be the smallest Carlton-Collingwood crowd ever, at the Gabba. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm really looking, as a Carlton, we're really looking forward to this one. There's you can't hide the fact that Carlton Collingwood hate each other. So whenever these two sides play each other, always get up for it. Especially now that finals are on the line, it makes it even more special. So really looking forward to this. No side bottom for the Pies, which what we mentioned before. So it's a huge out for them. But Geez, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you.
I'm very excited for this. I love nothing more in football than a classic rivalry, and this is the biggest. This is as big as it gets. And like you said, they're both in such compromising positions at the moment. A loss for either one of them will really hurt their chances for finals. So both will come out with something really to play for, definitely. And like you said, no side bottom for the Pies, which definitely helps the Blues. I'm tipping the Blues. I think all their good players are firing at the right time at the moment. They're all starting to play really good footy, putting it together. In Collingwood, I think they look a bit dishevelled almost out there. I mean, they're getting some wins against some easy sides like North, but I don't know. A couple of their good players are playing well, but I don't think they're having an all-round performance that's good enough to beat the Blues in the form that they're in currently.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tip the Blues just. It's going to be a cracking game for mine. I reckon it's going to be really good, especially with what both teams are playing for. So can't wait for it. And just want to mention, if this game was played in Melbourne, in an ideal world, there'd be 95,000 people there.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy, just because of the position you're both in.
Yeah.
And it's, like you said, probably the first time in 8 years that Carlton have been able to compete with Collingwood, because Collingwood have been so dominating.
Exactly right. That's why it's the biggest Carlton Collingwood game in 8 years, since 2012 when Carlton were up there and Collingwood are up there. So it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. Really looking forward to it. If the Blues win that, then that'd almost be a real hot favourite to finish eighth. So huge game. But the other game on the Sunday is Gold Coast and North Melbourne at Metricon. Gold Coast, they're doing it again, aren't they? They perform well in the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season, and then they just drop off. They haven't won in eight weeks.
It's weird to say. It feels like their most recent win was closer than that, but I still think they're better than what we pinned them at the beginning. I know at the beginning of the year you said I want to see them win a bit more consistently, but they've been in so many games. They haven't been blown out of the water by anyone, really. It's almost disappointing for them that they haven't been able to get wins. A couple of close ones as well. They had chances to get up, and I think this has to be their chance to get back on the winners list and boost their confidence a bit more, surely. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, they haven't won in 8 weeks, but they've been pretty good in those losses as well. Like, they haven't really been blown out of the water. This is a big. They need to win this game, especially at home as well. North haven't been great, so this is a massive chance for Gold Coast to get up. They got smashed last week. That Carlton loss was probably their worst one in that stretch of games. So they do need to get up for this one, and I think that they should win this.
Yeah, I'm tipping them as well.
Yeah. All right, so that's round 14 done. Big games to look forward to there as we get to the pointy end of the season now, and a lot of teams vying for a top 8 spot, top 4 spot. So it's going to be really good, really exciting footy to come. But we'll move into spot on or way off, and I'll kick us off here, Quinn. Essendon will go 20 years without winning a final.
I hope so. How many years has it been now?
So it's going to be 16 years this year.
Well, as much as I'd like to say spot on, I'm going to have to say way off. I do see them growing, and their injury list has hurt them a lot this season. I reckon they'll be playing finals as soon as next year and maybe winning one. I think way off. I think they'll win one, unfortunately.
It all depends on what route they go down once Ben Rutten fully takes over. Like, whether they think that they're at the level to play finals or whether they need to start again and rebuild. So it all depends on that. Yeah.
Correct. It's very up in the air at the moment, but I see them winning a final in the next 4 years. So.
Okay. Fair call.
Sorry. All right, my turn. In relation to the MRO, we'll stick with the MRO. In relation to the MRO, the Richmond Tigers are untouchable.
I'm going to say spot on. I'm saying spot on. You've been pretty looked after with the MRO this season for sure. Especially with the staging fines being overturned, and then Tom Lynch, case after case just getting thrown out. or not thrown out, but just copping fines instead of suspensions. I think so. I think that's spot on. That's a good call from you.
Thank you very much. Go Giants.
All right. The Dreamtime game should be played in Darwin every year.
Yeah, spot on. There is a way off for that as well, but I think spot on for sure. I think the AFL wouldn't do that purely for a financial standpoint, especially after this season with the loss they've had. They're going to get 85,000 Dreamtime at the G next year. They'll be doing that because they can. I do think more games should be played there throughout the season, especially in Sir Doug Nicholls Round. Not Doug Nicholls, Doug Nicholls. But yeah, no, I think personally, I think spot on. I'd love to see that. I think it's a special game. I think it should be played there. Whether it will or not, different story. But yeah, spot on.
Yep. Cool.
All right. And for the last one, we did touch on this earlier, but Queensland should be the one to host the grand final.
Yeah, well, it's similar to what I said before. I reckon there's two arguments for it. Spot on, as in like, I'd have no issues with it just because they deserve it. They've been very accommodating, and it's good to grow the game up there, but could almost be way off. And you'd rather, if Perth can have a full stadium, then you'd probably rather it there. But for argument's sake, I'm going to say spot on for sure.
Yeah, I just think WA has been too difficult with working with the AFL.
Yeah.
Especially early on when they were being real difficult, and then with the whole Elijah Taylor thing.
Yeah.
They'll like it's the AFL's fault that he did that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think they're being a bit difficult. I don't think they've earned it, but like you said, the capacity factor has to weigh in. Unfortunately. Yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, that's spot on a way off. Done for another week, and that really wraps us up for the episode. It's been another big one. A lot of talking points as per usual. This season just keeps throwing everything at us. But yeah, as we get to the point in of the season, there's only a few weeks left and then we're into finals. So exciting time of the year. But as we say every week, make sure you leave us a review, subscribe to us on YouTube. We appreciate all the support. We can't thank you guys enough. It means absolute world to us. So keep them coming. But have a great weekend. Stay at home, and we hope your team wins. Go the Blues.
Pressure point! Pressure point! Pressure point! Pressure point! Pressure point!